So today in the shop, we have a new product from Flatline Barriers that we're going to install in this 1956 Chevy that's designed to insulate sound and heat from the inside of your car. Some of the features of the Flatline Barrier products is that it's easy to install for the do-it-yourselfer. It comes as either a complete kit or a location-specific product, meaning that you can get it with the doors, insulate the doors, the floor, and the trunk, or you can get each kit individually. Number two, there's a wide range of applications. Right now, Flatline Barriers manufacturing product that fits the A body, the F body, the X body, and the Tri-5 Chevrolets. Number three, the product's very lightweight and easy to install. The complete floor kit that I received for this car, including the box, was 9 pounds. It doesn't get much lighter than that. And finally, number four, Flatline Barrier products represent the best bang for the buck in heat and sound barrier products. So why do we need a sound barrier and a heat barrier for our cars that we love so much? Sound travels through waves. When you think about your floor pan, it's a huge amplifying piece of sheet metal. The noise from your motor, your exhaust, your transmission, and your rear end come to this big piece of sheet metal and amplify it, making the interior of your car much noisier than probably what you're used to driving today. We set up a little display here to mimic what you would have in your car without a sound barrier or a heat barrier. This is a bare piece of sheet metal, similar to what your car is made out of, but in a much smaller size. We're going to hit it with this 7/16 Craftsman wrench, and we're going to see what kind of sound we get from it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this. And what you hear is almost like a cymbal. It takes a little bit of, just a small tap, and it amplifies the sound. Now imagine this spread out across the whole floor pan of your car with a big hungry V8 and headers and a sound system and exhaust, and you can imagine what kind of sound you have coming through your floorboard. Sound barrier helps stop that. It doesn't eliminate it, but it brings it into a level that we're used to when we drive our normal cars every day. It makes the car more livable, more fun to enjoy, and also your wife might like it as well. So for this demonstration, what we're going to do is we're going to apply this small piece of Flatliner sound barrier to this piece of sheet metal and test it for sound and heat to see what kind of results we get. Remember, this is not full coverage. This is just a little bit. So let's go ahead and apply the material to the sheet metal. We're going to peel the back off, and it's a self-adhesive back material, and we're going to apply it to the sheet metal. Very simple. Press it on. Now we're going to hit it with a wrench and see what it does. Remember, before it sounded like a cymbal. Completely stops the sound. It's a dull thud. Let's listen to the difference one more time, just to really capture the difference that it made. So we don't need even full coverage. This is just a small example. Your floor pan is 12 times this size. Imagine when we cover this whole piece with sound barrier, what kind of a difference it would make in your car. So for the next test, we're going to take a look at Flatline Barrier's ability to isolate the heat from the components that are beneath your car and how it isolates it from coming into the interior of your car. We're going to use two new tools. We're going to use a heat gun and an infrared gun, which measures temperature. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the heat gun on the back side of this material. One side has Flatline material on it, the other side's bare, much like your sheet metal would be, your floor pan. And I'm going to hold it right in the middle. And I'm going to heat this area up here in the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the temperature difference between both sides of the metal and then the treated material. We'll get a feel for how it works. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so right now we're at 54 degrees on the untreated side, 52 degrees on the Flatline Barrier side, vacillating between 52 and 53. We're at 64 degrees right now, 65 and going up on the untreated bare sheet metal side, 71, 73 degrees. We're down to 56 degrees, 55 degrees on the Flatline Barrier side. Untreated, we're up to 83, 87, 91, 95, 100 degrees. On the Flatline Barrier side, we're at 54 degrees. So there you have it. Flatline Barrier just flat works, and it does exactly what it's promoted to do. It mutes sound and it isolates heat. So now that we've seen what it does, let's go put it in the car. So before we start our installation of the Flatline Barrier product, there's a couple of tips and tricks that I think will help make your process more successful. Flatline Barrier, when you get the pre-cut sections, are patterned after a stock floor pan. The reality is not a lot of cars are stock anymore. They may have aftermarket seats or a different transmission or wiring that runs underneath from the front to the back for a stereo. So this car is no different. It's had some modifications to it, which means I'm going to take the material and make the modifications that I need to make sure that it fits my car. This car has front bucket seats out of a mid-60s Impala, which means the seat risers and the mounting points are different than the factory. It also has some additional wiring, such as an MSD box, stereo that was in it at one time. So I have some wires that weren't originally in the car, but that are in it now that I don't want to cover up. And then the other thing is make sure that you don't cover up any mounting screws. The Tri-5 Chevrolets have a gutter guard that goes along the rocker panel. That's for traditionally any wiring for, say, the rear light harnesses get routed. They're mounted so that you don't step or cut, or they're buried basically. So the one thing you don't want to do is cover up any screws. This car, I've modified the material to fit around my seat mounts. And also my transmission is a 5-speed manual transmission, which means I had to make an adapter or a cover for my transmission tunnel. And that tunnel has to come off when I remove the transmission. So I don't want to cover up the screws. So I have made some modifications to the factory kit. The factory kit has everything in it that I need, but I did have to make some modifications. So this is just an example of some of the modifications that I've made. I have cut out the area for the seat risers. This piece had come all the way back stock, so I've made some modifications there. I have cut out for my floor pan mounting bolts where the floor pan of the body mounts to the frame, just for easier access should I ever want to remove it. Remember, this stuff sticks once you put it on. So anything that you think you may want to remove in the future or need access to that you don't want to cover up, go ahead and make the modifications to the product now. So now let's start the installation. I've already removed the interior, cleaned the floor, scraped all the old residue from any carpets that have been installed in the past, any sound juting. You want to make sure the floor is as clean as possible. I also wiped it down with acetone and then even used the air compressor to blow out any loose material that may be stuck to the floor. So let's go ahead and get started. I usually start my installations from the back of the car moving forward. I really don't want to walk all over my progress, and I have better access at the front with the doors open than I do at the back, so I'm just going to start at the back of the car. One more thing. When you're installing this product, all you have to do to apply it is just some firm pressure. You want to make sure you apply pressure evenly across the whole product, but there is no need to roll this out. One thing that I noticed that I really like about this product, it's only 50 degrees out right now, and this product is very flexible. Some of the product I've used in the past, which is more of a tar-based product, it's quite honestly gotten pretty stiff once it's gotten cold out. So this product can be installed really at any ambient temperature. So let's get started. One of the features that I really appreciated through the installation process was how well the pre-cut Flatline Barrier pieces fit and how easy it was to install. The actual installation time, after I prepared and made modifications to some of the pieces to fit my unique floor pan, was only 18 minutes from start to finish. After I finished installing the Flatline Barrier product, I installed the interior and went for a drive, and was amazed at the difference the product made in my car. Gone are the squeaks and rattles, and the sounds that I used to hear coming from my transmission and rear end are completely gone. So there you have it, Flatline Barriers flat work. Flatline Barriers are easy to install by the do-it-yourselfer, are ultra lightweight, have fantastic coverage for the vehicles in A, F, and X and Tri-5 Chevrolets, is an amazing value, and is available from leading restoration and performance retailers across the United States. For more information about Flatline Barriers, go to flatlinebarriers.com. We appreciate your interest in Flatline Barriers, and thanks for watching.